Welcome to the Power of Her podcast. I'm Dawn Sinkula, and I'm so glad that you're here. So grab your coffee or your wine, get cozy, and let's dive in. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to the show. We have a really amazing guest today, and I'm super excited to talk to her, Carla White, who we're just talking beforehand, maybe have crossed paths in some places on the internet at some point, but never have really had the opportunity to sit down and talk to her about her business and all of the amazing things that she's been doing in this space. I've got so many questions for you, Carla. I'm so excited to talk to you. But before we do that, let's let you introduce yourself, give our listeners some of the background, kind of where you're at, how you kind of got to be where you are right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first off, Dawn, I just want to thank you for having me on. It is always so cool to take a minute out of my day and connect with people like yourself. So thank you for arranging all of this. So Carla White, I am the first woman to make an iPhone app. So that's kind of my break into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
The app was called Gratitude Journal. And well, it's still around, so it is called Gratitude Journal.
Yeah.
But I created it because I was going through some really hard mental health issues and just came across writing down some good stuff each day. And I was really lazy at the time. And I'm like, cool, I can do that. Launched the app, it went viral, and it exploded my career. From there, I was always trying to figure out how can I increase my average customer value, right? Like, how do I, if I'm selling this app for $1, how do I make another dollar out of these people? And so I pivoted into coaching and started coaching these people online. And I was doing these challenges, 21-day mindset reset challenges, where I'd go live on Zoom like this with a whole group of people. Day 1 would be awesome. Day 21, it'd be crickets. And
been there, done that.
Yeah. And then one lady joined the challenge and she's like, I'm not going to watch the videos. I'm not going to watch the replays. Just give me the audios. I'm like, I can do that. So I cut all the audios from the videos, put them on a Google Drive for her. And then a few days later, she pops up in our Facebook group and she's going, I downloaded everything and I binge listened and I'm a new woman. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm smashing the hearts. And then she started crying, saying that because of her new self-confidence and demeanor, her teenage son was able to confide in her that he was contemplating suicide. And she was able to get him help. You know, he's fine, everything. But the penny dropped. I'm like, oh, I just got to give everybody audio. Like right then and there, I'm like, I got it regardless. And so I did it more so to help people out to get through. But what happened as a result is more people completed my challenges, right? Because they didn't have to show up. They could just like walk the dog and listen. And because the more people finished, more people came back and purchased again. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I figured it out. But getting the audios to these people every month was a pain because there wasn't anything out there. So I went back to my developer roots because like before creating apps, I was working for NASA, Microsoft, Pentagon. Like I'm a nerd at heart. I love developing. I love designing things. And so I went back to those roots during the pandemic and created a software called Hero.fm and threw it out there for myself mainly, but like, hey, anybody else want to use it? And now we're on to what, year 4? And it's just going, now it's like what we did is it's interactive private podcasting, which is super new territory. There's nothing else like it on the market, which is great.
Which I have so many questions about because doing a podcast, right? You know, you asked me beforehand, is it going to be, video? Is it going to be whatever? And I started thinking about that after you asked. And I thought, well, probably should just be audio based on what you're doing. It shouldn't be video anyway. What difference does it make? Right. But I think I want to get into the details of this new app that you created, but let me back up just a second and ask you a couple of questions because, your resume is like more than impressive, right? All of these things that you've done. And to be the first woman to launch, an iPhone app is a monumental achievement, right? Can
Yeah.
you kind of share for me a little bit of how you sort of broke into the male dominated tech
Yeah.
industry at that time? Because you obviously did it out of a need for yourself more so than
Yeah.
anything, but like that's kind of a hard space to play. So
Oh, for sure.
how did you kind of navigate that in a space where really a lot of men are playing
Yeah,
hard?
yeah. Well, I'll just tell you, working at the Pentagon gave me some chops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I bet.
Like
I
pat on
bet.
the butt, go get us some
Uh-huh.
coffee, little lady, and I'm like,
Right.
okay, I get a master's degree and I'm getting the
Uh-huh.
coffee and like getting you like, screw that. Anyway,
Right.
but so like making apps was lightweight compared to that. Um,
Can imagine.
mind you, I'm showing my age. I think
Oh,
things have
I'm right with that.
progressed
I'm right
since
with you.
then.
I think we're very close in age. So
But anyway, when it came to making the apps, I'm glad you asked this because my app had this little like Buddha on there and it was cutesy
yeah.
and when it was in the top of the charts, all the other apps, I have this great screenshot. It's like naked girls, beer drinking, art machine.
Right.
And then there's my gratitude journal, like
Buddha, yeah.
sandwiched between all these bro apps. And I was just like, how do we get more women in here? Because it's such an opportunity. All these guys are thinking the same stuff,
Yeah.
which sells to guys, but 50% of the market is women, and they don't like, and they're not going to like want naked women or fart. Like most of like, they don't
Most
want
don't.
that. So yeah, how do you get women into that? And um it's hard because like I don't develop the apps myself. I don't do the coding.
Yeah.
I engineer everything. I map it all out, the technical engineering, like where's the database, all that
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then I have somebody else sit down and write the actual code. And when I would go out to find somebody to write the code, I would say 9 out of 10 of them were just like, okay, I'm going to take this sucker for a ride because this girl
Yeah.
don't know what she's talking about. And it
Right.
still happens today.
Mm-hmm.
I was just on a call the other day and the guy was like down talking me, making fun, like, what did they call that?
It's like
Mansplaining.
mansplaining to you.
And
It's
I'm
like
like,
crazy.
okay,
Does this
how
still
long
happen?
have you been making apps? And he's, well, 5 years. I'm like, okay. I've been making them since they come on the market, honey. You don't need to
Right.
mansplain this to me. I'm fine. But it still happens. I don't know. And I think it's more like how many female app producers do they come across? Maybe
Right.
exposure. I don't know what it is, but um it's helped me. Like I have had to fire a lot of people on my
Yeah.
team because of
Yeah.
that. Because
Yeah.
they're just like, we don't think you know what you're doing. We're gonna take it over from here.
Yeah.
And um
Yeah.
you like hire slow, fire fast is
Right.
the thing,
Exactly.
right? And so the world hasn't evolved that much
It's
over the
kind of
last
shocking,
20
right?
years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. I think, when I hear these stories, it kind of reminds me of days that I had previous in working situations and even still to this day. And we were talking about, marketing being such a male dominated space, even though we find a lot of females like yourself, myself, other groups, there's a lot of females that are out there. We just don't always toot our own horns. Like we
Yeah.
don't always say, hey, look at me. I'm the one who developed the first, iPhone app. Look at me, look at me. And people, I think, sometimes don't recognize that, those experiences that we have had in the past have really shaped our ability to kind of do what we do now. And we don't need to do the hand raising and all that kind of stuff. When you've had your hand in so many of these prestigious organizations, from, like you said, the Pentagon to NASA to Microsoft, how did those experiences kind of shape your approach to your own entrepreneurship, especially in this tech
Mm,
space? I mean, how did it kind of,
yeah.
change and develop? Because I mean, I've worked in male dominated spaces probably my whole life as well, not nearly as tech heavy as you have, but
Mm,
it's always been sort of like, okay, I'm going to take that experience, I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to move on. But it
yeah.
still happens over and over and
Yeah.
over again. So how did
And
it kind of shape you a little bit?
right. Like the Pentagon, totally
Yeah.
different experience from Microsoft, right?
Right.
Microsoft was like, we don't care who you are. Every now
Yep.
and again, you'd get,
Yep.
you know, a
Right.
situation, but definitely a 180 from,
Right.
uh, and so I like to apply what I learned at Microsoft into my own personal business, which is really making sure you document and you you just are on the offense for legal
Mm,
situations or any
agree.
disputes, which
Yep.
is unfortunate, but that's like
Yep.
as a CEO, you've got to do that.
Right.
And I almost feel like it's worth it to sit down and educate yourself on what can keep you ahead of the curve. For
Mhm.
example, you have a conversation like this with somebody. You send them an email afterwards recapping what you said to them.
Yep.
And that way it's documented in an email, timestamped what was said and when.
Yep.
And it's tedious, but these are the things that I learned from Microsoft that kind of saved my ass
Yeah.
now
Yep.
when I learned to do them. You know when you need to really do that technique? When you talk to a lawyer on the phone. Oddly enough, and a lawyer
Oddly
taught me
enough,
that.
right? They know how to talk, right?
Yeah, and they'll never communicate via email.
Right.
They always wanna get on a call with you because
Yep.
they don't want it written down what they said. So
Yep.
after you talk to a lawyer, make sure you sit down, whether the
Type it
lawyer is
out.
working for you or not, you sit down and you recap in an email what was said and you send that to them.
Right. And it's so unfortunate, but I agree. I think in any conversation, good and bad, right? Too, because it also I think it can work to your advantage in a lot of cases where, you talked about something that was good and it's like, "Hey, remember you said you were going to give me a raise?" Or, "Hey, remember you
Mm,
said we talked
yeah,
about like on this date
right?
you were going to do X, Y, and Z." And it doesn't always have to be a negative thing, but I think
Mm-mm.
as CEOs, as women, it's important for us to just make sure we cover our asses in all of the situations, take the time to document, take the time to understand what really are you saying. Because sometimes, even then, when you write it down and you send it back to that person, it's like, no, that's not what I said. Or I need to clarify that so that it's clear
Yeah,
for both of us because that's
right.
not what I meant, or something like that, too.
I think
So,
women worry too much that they're being perceived as a Karen
right.
or,
Yep.
and
Yep. Right.
unfortunate, right? You're being
Right.
too aggressive, you're being too Karen-ish, you're being too
Right.
too something
Right.
instead
Right.
of just being the cutesy bunny girl, whatever. And
Right. Right.
that
Yeah, and I think we shouldn't be afraid of that, right? And I think that's one of those things that it's like, you know, hopefully, as we move into this next year I don't like to get into all of politics, but if for
Mhm.
nothing else, at least we're seeing some diversity in
Yeah.
our leadership
Mhm.
at the highest level, and
Correct.
having, the opportunity for women of all ages, all colors, and all races, and all things to see that there's opportunity out there. And I think if for nothing else, that at least puts us ahead of the game a little bit more than it has in the
Yeah. I
past.
I I feel like it's long overdue, right?
Agreed. Agree.
Um,
Definitely.
I don't know
Definitely.
about your household, but my household, I I run everything. I am the CEO, I'm the president.
Right. No decision gets
I
made without coming through us, for me,
know,
at least
right?
me first.
Like, I
Like,
know everything that's
right.
happening under the
Right.
household for the most
Yes.
part, and
Yes.
so
For
I
sure.
don't know why that wouldn't translate well outside of the house,
Exact. I've
with our
said that.
multitasking skills and everything else. Now, I run 2 boys.
Right.
I have 2 boys, and,
Mhm.
I think they're younger. They're still in, elementary and middle school, but I think given what's happening in the current,
Yeah.
political space, landscape, whatever, I think the best thing I can do is to help them understand that they can take direction from a woman and
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not, a blow to your ego, it's not a blow to your masculinity, it's
Right.
nothing like that. It's actually just the same as if you're taking direction from a guy.
Right.
And I feel like it's up to me because my husband's from England and he's sort of
Mm,
old school. Like
yeah.
you need
Yeah.
and what's weird um is my oldest son at a very young age, he didn't like the color pink because that was weak. Like things like I'm like, where did
Yeah.
you get that? Because that didn't come from me. Like, where are
Right.
you learning these things that women are weak
Yeah. The colors
and
are different and right. Right.
right. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I know. And I have a son also who is going to be 20 in the next couple weeks. And so
Hmm.
he, and a daughter. And so teaching both of them the same lessons, right? Empowering your daughters to be strong and brave and advocate for themselves and speak up. And my daughter's a bit shy and sort of reserved. And, so using the opportunity that we have right now to say, look, you can do anything you want. You just have to use your voice. And
Yeah.
even if people don't like what you have to say, you still need to say it. And
It's
it's
scary though,
okay.
isn't it?
It is scary and it's hard. And when you're a bit unsure of yourself or you're not 100% sure that it's going to be received the way in which you want it to be received, all of those things that we've, struggled with. And I can't imagine being 22 years old right now as a female in this space. I mean, at least before we never had the internet, we didn't have social media. There was nothing
I
like that could
know.
follow us around or, quote us or like go back and see the clip of when we did this sort of thing. I
Mhm.
mean, it's crazy now. And so I think for everybody, it's hard to like navigate this space. But as women, I think
Well,
it's even harder.
there was a comment made the other day by somebody, I don't even remember, but it was all about how we're so isolated into our devices, right?
Yes.
And
Right.
we're not sitting on each other's front porches, having a
Talking and yeah.
coffee or a cocktail, chatting. Like we're not seeing each other face to face. We're isolated.
Yeah.
And it's having a very severe ripple effect,
Hmm.
especially on the younger generation. I don't know. So many families where they're just eating their dinner, looking at their phone, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
nobody's talking. There's no communication and
Right.
everybody's eating separately
Yep.
uh and then it just escalates from there. People just addicted to Twitter or X or whatever
Yep.
and scroll.
Right.
And I feel like because I run a business and I get the receiving end of so much frustration out there just
Yeah.
through like I can't get my file to upload or something
Yeah.
ridiculous
Right.
like that. It
Right.
manifests into more. I think there's so much mental health issues that people
Totally.
are are taking it out in weird ways. And so like with your daughter, like it's scary because yeah, you
Hmm.
don't know who's on the receiving end of that and they've
Yep.
just been bottling up some stuff and all of a sudden
Right.
they got triggered and here it goes.
Right.
And there's so much division right
Right.
now be-
Right.
over the last 5 years.
Absolutely. And you can be a keyboard warrior, is what I
Mm.
always say. Like you would never say half of what you type, right, to someone's face. And
No.
you would never speak that way to someone that, you lash out on social and I've caught
Mhm.
myself even times where I'll say something on social. I'm like, I would never say that to somebody. Like, I need
Yeah.
to take that down. I need to check
Yeah.
myself because
Yeah.
you get fired up and you're like mad and like, oh, I'm going to do this and damn you. Right. And then
Right?
it's like, wait a minute, what? If I was sitting
Yeah.
across from you, we would not have that visceral response to each other. We would hopefully talk like humans and be able to have a conversation about our differences or at least discuss whatever it is that we're talking about. And so, yeah, I think it's a very weird, hard time to kind of navigate that with children as well as women. And I think
Mhm.
it's interesting, Carla, because you're in this space, right, of technology and you're in this space of apps and you're in the space just
Yeah.
kind of like what we were talking about, with all of this technology under your belt and stuff. Clearly you're a fan of technology and
Yeah.
using technology for good. But tell me a little bit about what's different about this app and why you think it's so important to use from the story that you shared.
Yeah.
But this also is kind of changing the way that people are absorbing and getting information. And I think it's important to kind of talk about why this is different than maybe other
Mhm.
apps or the way that people are consuming and how it's working for good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully it's working for good. But the whole idea behind it is So I'm going to go back to the story about when I started to get into audio. The
Yeah.
audios that woman had were crappy. They
Yeah.
were Zoom calls that had a
Right.
bunch of, "Hey Betty, how you doing?" Or,
Yeah.
is my mic on? All
Yeah.
that stuff at the beginning. Really
Sure.
bad. Poor quality. I didn't have a good mic, none of that. But yet it changed her life.
Right.
And so the idea is there is somebody out there right now praying for the knowledge that you have.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the technology is so challenging to get your voice out to share your knowledge. You have to set up the funnels, the membership sites, and all this complicated tech that
Right.
we really don't need
Right.
to just connect to another person. So the whole idea behind Hero is you just flip on a mic, doesn't matter what you look like, just
Yep.
flip on your mic, start talking, upload it, and you have a product. It's got a sales page in there. You connect a Stripe account, boom, you're making money. And you can get it done fast. Because
Yeah.
the other issue is sometimes you come up with an idea,
Mm-hmm.
and by the time you actually get everything set up and going and you flip on the switch,
Right.
like $10,000-$20,000 later, it's like,
Right.
okay,
Or
this is
months or
obsolete
years or
or
whatever.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can just get it out quick. So that's really the idea is one, you can get your knowledge out and you don't
Yeah.
have to like hire a big team. And second, you can do it quickly,
Right.
and not have to spend tens of thousands of dollars doing it.
Yeah. Cause it's really affordable. It's an affordable, we'll drop all the information about
Yeah.
but it's an affordable app to use. Is there any any part of business or any type of industry that would not do well on this app? Or is it really
Mm.
intended for anybody to be able to do it? I mean, obviously, if you're a painter or you're doing something
Right.
very visual or things like that, but I feel like in the marketing space, a lot of us are using podcasts as an
Mm.
opportunity to reach our audience, or we're doing courses, or we're doing group coachings, or we're doing different things like that. I feel like that's the perfect sort of space for this.
Yep.
But have there been, or is there, things that maybe don't work really well, or what are some of the unique sort of business industries that are using your app?
It is mainly geared towards the course creator coaches.
Yeah.
But having said that, there are businesses using it to onboard their staff, or there's
Oh,
agencies using it to onboard their customers, or to uh, get prospects to a point where they can be a customer.
oh,
So,
cool.
interesting
Yeah.
enough, I'm going to try cold emailing and just out of curiosity. And I
Yeah.
was talking to the people that run the cold email service,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Yeah, we can use this because we repeat ourselves so many times on every call." So they're going to do a little show. It's a lead magnet free thing. What's hot with cold emailing now, or something like that, or
Yeah. Yeah.
and basically it's just going to answer all the questions plus get that prospect set up. So all they have to do is like flip on the switch and they can start
Yeah.
getting these
That's
cold
cool.
emails going. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, yeah, let's go. There was also another cool situation was some cryptocurrency founders. I don't know. So they have a cryptocurrency and they want their community to learn about the currency. I didn't know how
Ah,
much there was to learn, but there's apparently a lot to learn.
right.
So they use Hero to educate their audience on the currency. And
Yeah.
as they go through an episode, so with Hero, you can trigger events. And so if they finish an episode, they get a coin in their account. So you can just
Oh,
trigger this. So
awesome.
yeah.
So
So
you like
like,
win currency for listening points,
right,
rewards.
right. Which I'm like,
Yeah.
that's so smart.
So smart.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, but like if you're a painter, I mean, you can include videos with the episodes so you can do demos and things like that, or
Okay.
pictures and
Yeah.
diagrams. You can also like automatically send out a text message or an email as they're listening. So, you
Oh,
can
that's
include
amazing.
other content. Um, like when
Awesome.
you said not good for, I was like immediately went to like illegal organizations.
Well, right.
I don't want you and your
We
crud.
don't want any of that. Right. No, no. If you're selling or doing things that are not within legal means, let's not get on
Right.
there.
Like, just stay away. But here's the interesting thing. I'm
Yeah.
going to share real quick. What I discovered after getting into audio is trust is picked up immediately through the voice. It's not how you
Ah,
look. Like you always like first impressions. It's actually your voice. So you gain trust
interesting.
faster, right? The people who listen to audio are making between 250,000 to 300,000 average household income a year. So they're got more disposable income.
Income.
They're looking for answers normally. They're not just like surfing around, whatever.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
topic specific.
Right.
Um,
Interesting.
and what was the other cool one? Oh, they consume an hour and a half of audio content, not like music, but just spoken audio word a day. So
Wow.
when you look at that compared to like watching a video or a TikTok
Sure.
or a reel, like your exposure to that person is phenomenally higher. So you're getting
Right.
more time with them, you're getting gaining more trust in a very consolidated period of time. So you can go from like them not knowing you to like, hey, we're BFFs in a
Right.
very short period of time, which is
Right.
powerful stuff.
I love that because so many of us are spending hours and hours with funnels. We're spending hours and
Mm,
hours with creating courses. We're just trying to make it all look perfect. And we're doing
yeah.
webinars and we're doing all the stuff and everything. And you could just blast this out so fast. I feel like you could just put it out there and get it out. And then people will actually listen. The right people,
Yeah.
sounds like the right
Yeah.
people will actually listen to it. And you want to get in front of those people who are searching for a specific topic. You want to, I mean, that's ultimately what marketing's all about, right? Is to try to get
Right.
those people. So if they're already sort of in that space and ready to consume, I mean, it sounds amazing. Are there any
Mhm.
mistakes that you've seen people make when they've used your app before? Has there been like, oh gosh, that didn't work really well, or don't try to do too much of this, or
Yeah,
those types of things when
I
you see
think
them?
the biggest mistake is they sit on it too long. They
Mm,
feel like it's gotta like their audios have to be perfect, have to
perfect.
write the perfect thing, and they don't just get it out. Like
Yeah.
version done is
Yeah.
very better than version none is what I
Agreed.
always say. Like
I agree.
flip on the mic and get it out. And I know so many people who are like, well, I got to get this done and that done and this done. I'm like, no, like you can actually start,
Just
like
do
if
it.
you were going to write and create an audio book, you could sell it today. You could pre-sell copies of it. Just flip on the mic, say, hey, thank you for getting my audio book. You're going to get a chapter each week and you're going to get it for a special price. I really love you for believing in me, blah, blah, blah. Right. Like just let them know that it's not complete in that first episode and start making money. Like don't sit on it. Don't wait till it's perfect. Just get it out there and
Do.
get it done.
Right. I love it. I love it. I love it. So as we kind of wrap up here, I know you've been kind of tagged like Oprah. Did she call you like the queen of apps or something like that? Is
Yeah. I
that
got to sit on
something
her
like,
sofa and I
oh, get a
know.
crown, right? That's
Yeah,
amazing.
I know.
So
How did she not age, by the way?
I
When
know
I
I just
did.
saw her. I was like, wow, she looks amazing. The same as always. Like, oh my
What
gosh,
she's
you've got
doing.
really good
Yeah.
people.
I know.
So, what advice would you have, for women in this space? Obviously, that level of recognition, people need to listen to what you have to say. But what
Oh, well,
advice
thank
would you
you.
give to women who are aspiring to make a name for themselves in the app space or in the tech space? What would be like the one piece of advice that you could give?
Yeah, it takes a village. I feel like make friends, make your
Mhm.
partners. So uh the last 4 years have been the
Yeah.
most amazing and challenging that I've been through because like the app for some reason just took off. So I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, this is easy, right?" And then I
Yeah.
created the software and I've been against so many new situations that I never thought I'd encounter. Like,
Yeah.
just, I don't know if it's like the mental health or whatever, but I've just never come across like so much unprofessionalism and
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to go down that road, but so the one thing that helped me get through it was having BFFs bestie BFFs or whatever, just some girlfriends that are in this space, like this
Yeah.
podcast, tune into this podcast because this is needed. Know that you're not alone. But I have an app called Voxer. I don't know if you've heard of
Yes.
Voxer.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
it's like a
use it a lot.
walkie-talkie app. You just
Yeah.
hit the button and you can talk.
Yep.
Cut you off after 15 minutes, but hey,
You can say a lot in 15 minutes.
But anyway, I got a couple of girlfriends, one in particular, we leave Voxer messages all day long.
Yeah.
Some of them get deleted because it's like sensitive information, but like we do it all day long. And that has healed me and helped me get going on days when I just wanted to hit delete. I just want this done. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm so over it. And also celebrate the wins, right? Like, hey, we've had so many sales today, and her like being more excited than me.
Yeah.
And you need to find that community of women. And if you don't have it, call me, call
me too. I'm here. I'm
call
ready.
Dawn,
right?
Because I feel like it's, it's not something you have to pay for. Just like find a friend or two that you can confide in about all this stuff, because women are juggling so much. I keep telling her on every Voxer, I need a wife.
I know. I need a housewife. That's what I keep saying to my girlfriend. It's so funny you said that, because I'm like, at work, when I worked in corporate, I had a work husband, right? That was there. That would be like my BFF husband who would take care of all this stuff. When you're by yourself and you're in your own space, or you're an entrepreneur, you don't really have like your own husband, your work husband, or your work wife, or whatever you want to call it. So you need those besties to kind of like, pull you out of the trenches and get like, mental health, and even just to talk through things that my girlfriend has absolutely no idea what I even do. Like, she doesn't get it. She's not in the space, but I'll just dump on her sometimes. And she's like, I don't know what you just said, but it sounds really cool. You should do it. I'm like, okay,
well, that's
all I needed.
Like, my husband has no idea about so many things. Right. And you can just dump, and this is the cool thing about this whole community of women I have, just like push a button and talk to them, is they don't judge.
Right.
Like, you can just say, I did the worst thing today, I feel so bad. No judgment. Right. Just no trying to, I'll just fix this for you. They understand sometimes you just need to vent and let it off. Exactly. Because sometimes when you hear your own words talking through things for a good 15 minutes, it's good. Like, it's so therapeutic. So
it's so therapeutic. I'm a big fan of Voxer too. I use it all the time, and I think it's a great thing.
I'll have to hook you up then. I'll have to get on Voxer with you.
Do BFF boxering. I love it. But I think this has been great. And I so appreciate your honesty and your truthfulness around the struggles that you've had and the successes that you've had. It's been amazing. Your career is just awesome and incredible. And I think everybody needs to go check out this app and see it and listen to and get yourself on there. I mean, that's the thing for me. Like, even if you have a mini idea, like, this is pretty painless to talk and get it uploaded and get things started and go from there. So we're going to drop the link in our show notes so that everybody can go find it. But Carla, if people want to find out more information about you or about the app, where should they go on the internet? What are your social spaces that they should find you?
Well, we're running a special, so hopefully you have your own personal link for the,
I think so, yes,
$67 for life, for access forever. If you need to bump up from that and get like more shows and all that, then you can upgrade for super cheap. It's all like in the web pages, so check those out. If you want to learn about me, it's carlawhite.org, but I don't know if I've updated the website in 2 years.
I love it. This is so good. It's Hyro.fm. Go check it out. Again, I highly encourage you guys to just at least go see if, put it out there in the world for $67. You make your money back in no time and call it good.
Yeah,
for sure. Carla, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for talking to us and sharing your story. I know this is going to resonate with so many listeners. Thank you.
It was a joy, Dawn. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, listeners, till next time. Thank you for listening.